Right, I think we are live. Welcome, guys, to our Tuesday Tat Chat with myself and my good friends are here. How are you?
Hi everybody. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just watching my family eat dinner while I'm streaming.
Are you having something different
Hey,
afterwards then?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Just I'm
Oh,
gonna have
well,
to
hang on.
watching my family eat dinner. Have you got? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to because they're having like a tofu sweet and sour. I'm just I'm not that open-minded, I suppose, to try it. So
To the vegan lifestyle.
well, it,
Hang on,
it's
Beck's not vegan, is she?
No, she's not. She's not. It's just she's trying to be a lot more healthy, so she's cutting out meat completely, apart from fish. So
Ah,
that's pescatarian, right?
yeah.
I think
A lot of
something
people
along
may
those
not
lines.
know Andrea, my wife, is vegan, and my daughter Ellen is vegetarian. So if I want meat, I have to cook it myself. So
Which
not
is fair
much
enough.
meat
Well,
gets
well, to
cooked.
be fair, she's quite good. She's like, I'll still obviously make you guys meals with me if you want. But the girls are kind of now following, like they're also enjoying the variety, and I think they prefer like every evening. Well, not every evening, but I'm always the one saying, "All right, who wants a kebab?" And everyone else is like, "No." So it's always me that wants, you know. Um, but yeah, there's 54 people in the chat already. Wow.
I was just going to say a few quick hellos. I
Yeah,
saw
definitely.
people were gathering before we kicked off. First in there today was Twin Red Dragons Brewery. Not easy for me to say. Darren's in there. Paul Mosley, Andrew Robinson, Chelsea. Lots of people. Andy, Ryan, Finn Fashion Plus, Brett, all sorts of people. So welcome along. We don't have a guest. How we do it is we alternate. We try and get a guest on every other week, and then in between we just come on and ramble. So
Yeah.
let's get ready to ramble. we have a couple of
Let's
loose
get
themes we
ready
could
to.
touch on.
You can't say that, can you? That's like copyrighted, isn't it? Or it's patented.
Well, let's get ready to ramble.
No, let's get ready to rumble. I think that
Oh
guy.
yeah, I don't want to rumble with you.
Let, yeah, that guy. I think so. Anyway, but anyway, that's kind of like off topic. Um, all right.
Seeing in there. Oh, so Joe's girlfriend is vegan. I'm assuming he means there. He says so is my girlfriend. He says, "Poor Nick. Don't feel sorry for me. I quite like the vegetarian feed, and if I want
It,
meat, I get it
yeah,
myself."
it's a good thing. I mean, I'd like to do it. I'm just weak-willed. So you know,
So,
that's it.
oh, Vinny's in there. Hi, Vinny. Good to see you, mate.
Uh,
Sonia, Lisa, lots and lots of people, lots of chat going on.
yeah, Lonnie's in as well. Yep. And
Oh,
Lonnie's asking what's a tat?
oh, what is Tat? Tat is just stuff, isn't it? Just general
Yeah.
odds and sods, which is what we tend to pick up and buy. I don't know if they use that word in America. Clearly not. What would you call it, Lonnie, over there? Just general secondhand junk as a general term. I suppose junk is the same term, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, right, what were we going to attempt to touch on then today? I was going to talk a little bit about FBA and see where we're both at with that and what the
Go
plans are
for it.
moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
You said to me you had some interest in sales recently.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not big FBAs as you know, Nick, and I think it's kind of I don't know why. I think it's just fear, like a combination of fear, not having as much money to put into it as I think we'd like, because I'm very much like I like to be all in on things, or not, and I feel like at the moment I'm just kind of dipping my toe in, and I just don't enjoy it because of that reason. But even though I've just been, dabbling in it, I've had some really good success as well, and then that makes it worse because then I'm like, I should just be going so all in because that's how I feel. But you know what I'm like? I kind of you know, I don't like to do things a little at a time. But yeah, it's annoying with FBA in a way. But yeah, we've had some nice little bits of nice odd bits of sales, which kind of always make you think actually there's something here. I mean, I think I sold 2 blank VHS tapes, literally single regular TDK VHS tapes, which you'd struggle to get much for on eBay or anything. And someone paid, I think it was like 17 euros each, which is what, like 15 quid for one.
Yeah, and they were just VHS
Regular. They're not specific. They're not special VHS tapes. Like, you know, you can sometimes get super VHS tapes and things which are worth more. These are regular bog standard TDK. They're not even. I don't even think they were 240 minutes. I think they were 180-minute tapes. You know, because you can get like 240 variety. The regular tapes, and yeah, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's actually happened. They've paid, you know, for 2 of them as well. I'm guessing there's a tape shortage over in.
I've sold some blank media, and you literally go, oh my god, they've actually paid that. Especially because with my European wide sales, I have 40% markup on all my UK prices, and my field media at FBA is quite high priced anyway. And
well, yeah, that's it. I think my UK price is about £11 or £10 or something. So you know, by, like you said, by the markup for selling it to Europe, yeah, and it tends to be European buyers that are willing to pay up, really. So
it's surprising. I had some interesting success on there, but then I had some lines where they just weren't shifting whatsoever. And I showed recently when I recalled a load of stuff, I had some sealed media sent back that was just sticking at Amazon, and I had the buy box and I was the cheapest or whatever, but for some reason that listing wasn't selling. There was a parallel listing that was way up the rankings, so if you're looking for that item, you're going to pick this one off. So I had those recalled. I could have sent them back in on a different one, but I chose to put them on eBay and shifted them that way. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. But I was going to talk about, I showed in a video I had those 5 or 6 boxes of stuff recalled for various reasons, and it is quite expensive to do. I knew there were fees, but it was really hard for me to find out what the fees exactly were. But I've since gone in, and now they've obviously charged me. I can work it out, and it varied between 50 and 70p an item, I think. And when you add that up, especially on those books and stuff that I was getting back, it really wasn't worth paying that. I would have been better off really to do the pay them as a smaller fee to get rid of it. But I really don't like the thought of that. And I'm not sure they do destroy it either. I think they then just take that stock and sell it off as Amazon warehouse deals. I might be wrong.
I mean, I've bought stuff from auction which has got Amazon FBA labels on it.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, and I think I've bought stuff that that's I'm not sure. So it's possible that, you know, something like that could happen. But I don't know. It's a, you know, Amazon. There's a lot to consider, isn't there? Because like you said, you can be, you know, you can have the buy box and you can have everything, but still not. It still end up having to get items sent back, and like you said, getting it destroyed just feels wrong, doesn't it? It's
Somebody said, well, in that video, someone said, Nick, because I was saying about those books, that they weren't really worth anything. I couldn't ship them on Amazon. They weren't worth anything on eBay. So there is a shop I'm going to try and just sell them on for whatever. But I would still rather, I think, pay to get them back and give them to charity in a kind of sick, weird way, because that's kind of how I am. And I don't like the thought of stuff actually getting destroyed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting lesson, and I think I will get some more stuff returned, but only when I know it's worth flipping on eBay, I think. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, I'm going to have, at the end of this month, I'm going to go through it all again. And the thing is, I mean, although I had, I don't know, 50, 60 items returned, that was such a small percentage of it when you compare how much we shifted in December. So it was still all a positive, really. Yeah, people need to be aware, and I need to be aware of the fees involved. And also, I was looking through all the charges on FBA, and I found my monthly storage fees, because there's a monthly storage fee for me, because I don't have masses of stock. It's about £20. but that figure, it's worked out on a square foot of stock that you have. So if you've got lots and lots of stuff up there that's slow, those fees are going to really rack up. And then, of course, we've got the new fees coming in for long-term storage. So anything over 6 months and anything over a year gets charged at different levels. So yeah, it's interesting. People really need to be aware. If you're going to go into FBA, just do your research. You know, it's so important, it really is.
I mean, talking about like the fee side of it, though, it's not. Do you think it's as a bigger deal as maybe some people are kind of talking about? Because it's just, I don't know. It clearly Amazon want you to send in stuff that sells quickly, and they're giving you a year, right, before they hit you with these really high fees. Like an item's got to have been up there for a year. Is that, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, before you get the extortionate. Yeah,
I think there's a 6 month bit and then there's a year bit, and I think there's different rates for how long it's been.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not, I'm not like as you know, I don't know much about it, but I get the feeling that ideally when you send something up there, you want it to shift fast. You don't want it to be sat there for ages. And I think it's changing in that way. I mean, I'm guessing like if you sell a lot of books, then it might be, you know, if you're selling like some long tail books. I mean, I've got a book that I sent up that I thought I'd get good money for, but it is got like a high, like 1 or 2 million rank. I think it will sell eventually, but now I'm gonna probably think about just getting it sent back and maybe putting it on merchant fulfilled and putting it on eBay as well, and doing it that way rather than
I think people will reassess things to a certain extent. It hasn't really changed what I do, because I'm not. Actually, it'd be interesting to get Tom on again. He hasn't been on for a while, and he can explain how it may affect him, because his business model is more long tail books, and that's not really what I'm into. So it's not. And my predicted long term storage fees that are coming up in February were 22 pence, to give you an idea.
Yeah,
there's one item that I've had in there for over a year, because I tend to send up, as I want everything to sell. I want it to turn over. I'm more on that end of the spectrum than I am long tail. So it hasn't affected me much, but it was worth me spending some time looking at all those fees, and I would just recommend anyone do that and just be clear about it all before you start. There's been loads of chat that's been whizzing by. I did see a couple of questions back. Oh God.
Yeah, it's really, there's 125 people in the chat already. So
wow.
and I know Margaret's in as well. God, there's so many.
Hi, Margaret. I was watching Margaret last night, quite late. She was chatting with a really interesting guy, and then we got chatting, and I think we finished chatting about 2:30 last night to here. I struggled to get up this morning. Someone's asked me what these are. This is just some RA Thomas the Tank Engine stuff that I was going to send up to Amazon, but I've made the decision I'm going to wait till fourth quarter, so that's all going in the loft. I actually cleared the office today. Ta-da!
Wow, look at that floor space.
I know. I sent 3 big boxes up to FBA, and we put...
It means you're going to be out at the charity shops again tomorrow to fill it up.
More than likely.
Yeah.
We put 4 or 5 crates of stuff in the loft, which are being put away for Christmas. So hence, we have a bit more space. Right, what's going on in chat? Somebody's stuck on the M25. All lanes closed. At least I can watch you.
Oh God, that sounds horrible.
There's nothing that winds me up more than being in a traffic jam. Honestly, I hate that. The M25 is the worst. My sister lives in Brighton, and we always get caught around by the Heathrow going down to Brighton. I hate it.
Yeah, it's the worst. It is the worst place. And all lanes closed. That must have been a major issue.
Yeah, accident probably.
Yeah. Texas Gal says my fees are looking over $500. You know, that is a serious amount of cash.
But Texas pulling out. She said in a recent video that she's decided she's going to move away from FBA. So I guess all of that's, I think, coming out. She was saying before the fees are put in place, because she's got until, I think we all do, got until some date in February before those long-term fees are implemented. So if you can sell off your stock or get it back, you can avoid them. And then Margaret's decided that FBA isn't for her, I think, moving forward, which I totally understand. It's not.
But she's still smashing much, though, isn't she?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So I mean, that's the thing. If you're making money doing that, then
yeah,
you're not going to be as fussed.
Vinny says he sold 2 blank tape cassettes for 40 quid.
Yeah, you can get some really, you can really get some high-end blank audio cassettes. I mean, I think I had some Agfa ones or something, made in Germany, and they were like metal, and those tend to be worth a fair bit of cash. I think they both went to like the Czech Republic or something.
I don't think Vinny does FBA, so I'm guessing that was eBay.
He sold them on eBay, yeah.
A haul of cassettes going back a while, so I guess it's selling off them. But yeah, those chrome ones and the metal ones,
they're the ones. Yeah, you want to look out for.
Pay a lot of money for those, don't they?
Definitely. I mean, people. I mean, I still can't believe I sold a bloody tape deck for nearly 500 quid. I mean, a vintage tape deck. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I paid up for it to buy it, so it wasn't like a cheap find. But yeah, people pay good money for audio in general.
Yeah. Oh, Texas was just confirming. She says I'm pulling out most of my stuff. Oh, right. So yeah, the longer tail items.
Yeah, it's like a change of strategy, isn't it? Really, it's like a change of.
And that's exactly why they've implemented the fees. It's to make people sit up and be aware of it, and maybe not send in stuff that's not shifting. I mean, I think it was, I can't remember who said it, but it's a great quote that Amazon isn't in the storage business; they're in the sales business, and they don't want warehouses full of stuff they can't shift because it's obviously costing them money to keep it. So.
And they can't. They'd rather have that space being taken up by fast-moving items that people are sending in. So it's just quality control, I suppose. Way of doing quality control. So it works.
It's just that business model evolving as well, isn't it? It's just as it grows, they're naturally going to tweak it and make it.
Well, you kind of have to do that on eBay as well. I think it's just that people are more aware of it. I mean, if you think about it, people like to act as if Amazon's a completely different animal, and it is in some respects, but there's a lot of ideas that if you're implementing them properly on one platform will transfer over to the other platform. So my guess is if you're good at getting high turnover on eBay, you'll be good at getting high turnover on Amazon. If you're not, then you won't, because I think that it's about what you go out and look for to sell, really, isn't it? It's not. I think sometimes it's a case of, we always talk about listing items and make sure that we're always listing, but there does come a point where it's what you're listing as well that affects it. I mean, the case in point being, some people have to have larger inventories than others in order to achieve like the similar turnover, simply because of whatever area they're in. So you have to kind of bear that in mind, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we've had this discussion before about how many items do you need to make X amount of money,
and there's no number.
Because I mean, we've seen people sharing sales figures. Chris has shared some amazing figures recently. He's only got 200-300 items in his store. Joe is a great case in point. His store rarely gets beyond 300 or 400 items, I think, and he was turning over as much as the full-time guys easily. So it's not about numbers unless that's your model, because then it's obviously, quote Ken, who has a different model where it's list it, forget about it, and that model works if you've got enough stock to wait. But no, I totally understand what you're saying, and if you concentrate on stuff you can flip quick, your inventory is never going to grow, is it? It's never going to build and build and build, but you're going to struggle to find enough of that stuff. So kind of where I'm at is halfway in between the two, really.
Well, I mean, Lonnie's just put in inventory is bad, not good for me. So, Lonnie sees it that, inventory isn't something you don't want to have like too much. I suppose it is a balance with what you're comfortable with as well, isn't it? I mean, Amazon have obviously done this because they're getting too much stuff sent in that that isn't fast moving, and they can't, they don't want to take it. I mean, I think even when it came to toys, there were certain toys that I was trying to send in, which had a higher rank, and like they were pinging up a little warning message saying, this is not we either have lots, or this is a slow moving item. Are you sure you still want to send it in? And so it's there to kind of guide you, isn't it? So
yeah, somebody's just said, Georgina said, you can listen to this lot and they will say do FBA. I've done merchant fulfilled for nearly 10 years successfully. I would advise you try before jumping. That's what I've been advising in nearly all of my videos. I recommend, if people ask me, if you want to try Amazon, do Amazon Merchant Fulfilled. We did Merchant Fulfilled for 13 years before doing FBA. And FBA really was a solution for storage, really. Plus you get the benefits of Prime, which do add a lot of value to it. But yeah, I would agree with you. And I'm not saying to everyone to jump into FBA. If you're listening, I was saying, if you want to, just be very aware of the fees. And it's certainly not for everyone. I think it makes sense if you're doing in volume. And that's kind of why I keep throwing stuff up there, because then the numbers start making sense to me. It's about volume in one sense. Let's see what else we got.
A lot of comments coming through. Wow.
Resale Network says, why have you changed your name? Oh, YouTube. Oh, yeah. Well, because Andrea wants to get more involved in the channel as she was before Christmas, and now she's back to full health. She's coming on board more, and hopefully is going to start making her own videos. So the channel isn't going to be Nick Hills. It's going to be me and my wife. So hence, she wanted to have her name up there as well. So that's the reasoning behind that. Texas says she's slashed a bunch of prices. Yeah, that's exactly what I did about a month back. After Christmas, I reduced pretty much all of my stock to try and get it shifting. And then after a few weeks, recorded a load of stuff that was going nowhere.
Graham Nichols has a question. What site do you guys use to help you identify action figures? I find this so time consuming. I mostly use eBay. It's quite good, or Google image search normally does the trick as well. If you're trying to identify a figure, tends to help if you know roughly what kind of figure it is. Obviously, like if it's a wrestling figure, or whether it's like a He-Man or a Thundercat, it helps to know that. But if you don't know that, sometimes just typing in the year along with the manufacturer with the words action figure, and then doing a Google image search, and then just scrolling down the images can be one of the quickest ways. But if you don't know, you don't know, and it will take you some time, unfortunately. I don't know of any websites personally.
There are a few really good collector sites, like fan sites. There's a really great one for My Little Ponies that helps you identify. It's basically set up to help people identify and get the name of their pony. And Andrea uses that quite a lot, because if you're selling a pony and you don't know its name, you're going to struggle to find that collector that wants that specific one.
Pony, yeah. So and the Pokemon was the other one, wasn't it? I remember when I came across the Pokemons, there's a good website for identifying the Tomy Pokemons as well.
Yeah, I shared a website that lists all of the Pokemon. It wasn't specific to those Tomy figures, but when I was trying to look those Tomy ones up, I found a Pokemon website. It's in that video I shared. But there are quite a few. I think there's a good one for Thundercats and He-Man, like collector sites where they will just list all of the figures in date order and stuff. So Google is your friend a lot of the time. Just do your research, and it's well worth doing as well.
There's a lot of views coming in about inventory. Vinny says, I like inventory. So does Zach. Reseller Network says he left FBA a long time ago, only do merchant fulfilled now. And Leanne says she FBAs toys and electronics and keeps all like the antique retro collectibles for eBay, and it's like a nice-ish balance. And I've got to say, like, I do agree, because Amazon can still. I kind of agree with you, Nick, that it's about volume, but at the same time, there's certain things that you can get into which don't necessarily require a lot of volume. You could make really decent money by sending in like 5 or 10 items up, because that they will fetch really good money on FBAs, especially if you're selling to like Europe as well. And it tends to be in electronics, which does also increase issues and risks because obviously people are a bit pickier on Amazon as well. But yeah, you know, there are certain things I think that you could just send in, not huge volumes, but you know, a few, and you'd still make nice bit of cash every month, I think. But that's just what I think.
Yeah, I've not dabbled in much electronics with FBA.
Yeah,
I sent in a couple of consoles, which sold really quick, and I didn't have any problems. Touch wood.
yeah,
I sent an N64 up and a PS1, but I don't know why, but I feel safer doing that on eBay.
yeah. Well,
Um,
that's the thing. I think they are definitely a lot more kind of demanding, I suppose. And I think the worry of selling like a high value electronic would be, um, I don't know, especially if say if I found something that was like vintage and sealed, I'd be a bit worried because I'd be like, you know, if you send say if you had like a really awesome video game, for example, that's still factory sealed, in a weird way, I think I'd feel safer selling it on eBay with the relevant insurance and tracking than selling it to someone on Amazon, because I know how Amazon treats you, just like it's very binary. To the Amazon computer, if a guy bought it and decided he wanted to open it and change his mind, him opening up a brand new sealed, factory sealed N64 game in their eyes is no different to opening up like a brand new video game that's just come out last week, which doesn't have the same value.
yeah, I'm sure I
That's,
heard somebody saying that you can question that if somebody opens a sealed item and sends it back for a refund at Amazon. It might have been Rachel, fake Rachel.
yeah.
Was saying that if
But
you ring them up and complain, you can
get
contest.
something out of it. But I mean, there must be limits to that, though, especially if you're talking about something that's like mega valuable. I mean, like, you know, what if you had like a blister packed Walkman from back in the day or something, and you've sold it for, you know, silly money, or maybe they work on a percentage basis. But you know, um,
Right, where are we at? Somebody's asked a question: is eBay better than Amazon? I don't think there is any better. It's just preference. It's just what suits you, really.
yeah.
There are people who just do Amazon and wouldn't touch eBay with a barge pole, and there are people who think Amazon is, you know, a waste of time. It's just whatever suits your personality and what you're choosing to sell.
And conversely, people out there that think eBay's inefficient and you know,
Yeah, yeah.
scammy and whatever. So okay. Steve's just put out there that he knows everything, so that's always good to know. So if any questions, send them over to Steve, and he will answer them with his infinite knowledge as he has put out there. So that's really good, Steve.
Mike Litoris, sorry if I butchered your name, has said, you guys ever heard of Amazon merch? And if so, would you partake if it becomes available to the UK market? Yes, I've heard about it. I've been listening to Margaret talking about it and a lot of the American resellers, and I am itching to get on there. That is so up my alley. I'm a frustrated art graduate who doesn't have an outlet for my dubious talents, so I would love to be getting into design. I've got a load of ideas ready to go.
T-shirts.
Yeah, oh, totally. Well, we dabbled in it in the shop when we had the clothing shop, and they went really well. They were so easy to do, so easy to get done. But this makes it that much simpler because you only send the image. You just send the GIF of the, from what I know, the design up to Amazon. That's it. They print the shirt, they make the shirt, they ship the shirt out, and you get a cut. There's just no simpler way to make money, is there? It's like, check out Texas Girl Treasure's channel. She's got some great videos on that. But when and if it's coming to the UK, I don't know. A lot of talk about Etsy. I know very little about Etsy. My wife Andrea has sold on there in the past and is trying to expand her inventory on there. She doesn't have a lot on Etsy.
I got as far as opening a shop.
Right.
It doesn't have anything. No.
Oh.
got nothing on it.
Maybe Andrea could do a video once she gets going on that again.
Yeah.
Um,
Peter Crawford's got a question. Asks, if you have a job lot of the same stuff, do you output it all or just a bit at a time?
if you have a
Be quite
job,
good.
same stuff.
Yeah, like do you list it, like do you put it all out at once or?
Yeah, well, for example, with that van load of stuff I got, I listed the stuff that went on eBay and eBay only. I made one listing and 50 or 100 available, and then either put it on good till cancelled or 10-day cycle, or in some cases both, just to get both markets. Yeah, and some of that stuff I sent up. When I was sending it to Amazon, I wasn't sending the whole lot at once because I wanted to test the water and see how quickly it was turning over. So I didn't send all of the product into Amazon. I'm kind of drip feeding that up to Amazon. But yeah, with eBay, it's so simple to write one listing and just put quantity available. So that's what I did with a lot of it.
Yeah, if I've got, yeah, I mean I can only really speak on eBay on this, but yeah, if I've got a quantity of something, I'll tend to just put the whole lot out there.
Oh, your mic's
So-
gone, mate.
Oh, has it? Okay, hold on.
Gone all crackly.
Is it back yet?
Yeah, you sound all right.
Is that better now? Okay, you said it'd gone. Yeah, God, it's irritating. I need to sort it out. It's just it's getting to me. Mike says that there was meant to be they were meant to be running a beta test for the UK market for some Amazon sellers. If they were, I've not heard about it, but then again, I wouldn't. So
Yeah, that's news to me. I'm just paranoid I'm going to miss the announcement and I won't be first on that list of people to get in, because I know in America that they've stopped people applying, I think, or there's a massive backlog.
I think it's low barrier to entry is the same thing that's going to, it's going to end up with too many sellers. And now they've been culling sellers, haven't they? They've been just shutting accounts. So
I think that was naturally going to happen, because if people weren't using their accounts or they weren't uploading much at all, they're just going to put restrictions in and cull it. It makes sense.
Exactly. Carl Johnson says, do you guys have any top tips on the topic of automation? For example, eBay sniping, website search alerts. That's quite a good question. I mean, like, do you use any kind of automation in your?
I have saved searches in eBay is a great way of doing it. If you're going to try and snipe off eBay, if you have saved searches for whatever your search term is, like Superman mug, you can save that as a search. You can save it. I think you can do ones that are local searches as well. So when something, as soon as something is put on that matches your criteria of what you're trying to snipe, you'll get a notification. So that's the first one. And then, yeah, I use a sniping program. I still use BidNip, which a lot of people say I shouldn't, because you actually have to pay for the snipes, even though it's very little you pay. There are free ones. I think
GoofBid. I've used GoofBid.
And yeah, sniping, for those who don't know what we're talking about with sniping, it's basically an automated website where you sign in and you give them authority to basically bid on your behalf, but a computer program does it. So it bids in the last couple of seconds. You can set when you want it to bid. I tend to go in the last 2 or 3 seconds. And what that does is it doesn't allow your competitor to outbid you after the fact. And it allows you to do it remotely. So if the item is ending at lunchtime and you're in the pub, you're still going to bid. And if it ends at 1 in the morning and you're asleep, you're still going to get the item, or your bid at least will still go in. So that's what sniping is. And it's, I've had
ads, and Ben Fitzpatrick are also very big advocates of it. I mean, I think Ben's made videos about it as well, I'm pretty sure, in the past, about how he uses these saved searches to get local collection deals. And ads is obviously quite into sniping off there as well. And yeah, I mean, I myself use GoofBid, use it, often, and it works. It's free. I think they recommend that you place like a one mini bid just to kind of get around eBay's like systems, so your bid actually does so your snipe bid goes through, so they don't cancel your bid out. So, which is so you're looking at an item, they'll ask you to put in like whatever it's at the moment, and it's irrelevant that it gets instantly rejected. It's the fact that you've placed a bid on the system, and then that guarantees that your snipe's going to work, and then you can actually put a snipe in for I think as little as 2 seconds before the ending of the auction, and it does work. So
apparently, Treasure Pirate has just messaged that Goofbid apparently is not free anymore. They want $2.99 a month.
Oh, really?
I'm just reading the comment, but yeah, I mean, I've not used that site, but yeah, so maybe there's a fee coming on that.
I used it this week.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, someone else says they used it this week and it was free.
Yeah,
so,
maybe I know they've got like yeah, there you go. Smart. Yeah, Darren's just put up that Goofbid is still free. There's an option for it. Yeah, I think the pro option is available. So it's one of those things.
The old question has come up again about pat testing your electrical items from Mike. No is a quick answer from me.
Well, in a way, believe it or not, Nick, you probably do, because if you actually look at the government website, there's like a visual pat test, which is basically a lot of common sense that you wouldn't necessarily plug in something that was showing bare wire, that was frayed, that didn't have the right like amp fuse in it. You know, like you don't want to be plugging in a hairdryer or a toaster which has got a 3 amp fuse in it, because it's just risky, you know, things like that. I mean, common sense. And if you're happy to plug it in, you know, I mean, you can buy things which are pat tested now anyway. Most things that you buy from charity shops tend to be anyway, but yeah. Don't really get
a lot of the charity shops around here don't take electricals and don't sell them, but the ones that do have the pat testing equipment, or they have a guy. I think one local to me has a guy who comes in once a week and does the test on all the electricals, and then it's put out with the stickers on. So if you buy from those shops, you can pass it on as pat tested anyway, and it'll be dated, etc.
Treasure Pirate reckons Goofbid are picking on her because she's been using their free snipes so often that they're like, it's possible. You never know.
I'm to know what you get as a professional upgrade. What you possibly get? You get fancy snipes.
Yeah. I mean, it already goes down to like 2 seconds or something, but so
okay. So what else were we thinking we were going to talk about? How are you getting on with your listing targets? We've been failing on ours.
Yeah, I can happily say, yeah, the intention was good.
Yeah.
I mean, Beck's been doing pretty well. I mean, she did some yesterday, but not. We're aiming to do like 10 each, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really can be if you are us. So I mean, I don't want to say it is a lot, because there's going to be people out there that do 20 listings before they've, you know, brushed their teeth in the morning. I'm just not one of those people. I just not. So it's silly for me to beat myself up over it. But yeah, we have been. There's been an improvement by just having that target, and we are trying. I mean, like yesterday, Beck managed to do a fair few listings. Didn't quite hit her 10, but I think she did like 7 or 8. And then she's probably going to just do a few today. And then yesterday, I managed to do none. But I'm going to do some today. I don't know what. If you ask me what I did yesterday, I'm kind of like, I don't know now.
Did you use the line, I do things, Beck?
That's the thing. That's when I always have to go back and say, well, I do things, you know, I do stuff, I do, but I just not quite sure what it is.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, Andrew's been listing more on eBay than I have this week. I had, last week I'm talking about. I had one day last week where I did 20 or 30 items in a day, and the rest of the week I was all about FBA. But then I get like, I haven't done any eBay. But like today I shipped out 3 boxes of FBA. But I've done 2 eBay listings, I think.
Yeah, so I did. I kind of guilt listed like 3 items just before coming onto the show. Like, I was just, I've got to do something. It's like, but the thing is, the funny thing is, sales have really picked up as well. So that makes it worse because you're like, oh my God, I'm actually selling a lot. And imagine if I was listing a lot as well, I'd be selling even more. It's weird. It's just, it's one of those things.
I was going to ask you as well. How are you finding it with, because you've split, you've got two accounts now, is that right? Listing wise.
Yes,
So how
yes.
are you? What was the thinking behind that, and how is that working for you?
Just because we thought like having clothes is separate, I think is like the main thing. Just to have clothes separated. I don't really like doing clothes, to be honest. Beck does, so it kind of made more sense. So slowly but surely, it's going to be like a general store and then like a clothes store, that kind of situation.
Wouldn't that have worked just as well on one store, just with categorized
Yeah, I mean,
shops?
you could. You could, but I think it's also there's more to it because there's like I think it helps Beck as well because she's like directly in control of
Yeah,
that side of
I
things.
see
So
that.
sometimes it's not just I mean you can do it the other way completely. You don't need two stores at all, especially us. We don't need them at all. But it does help because it's ownership and it's
Yeah,
and also we're hoping that if you kind of can get two stores up to like an even a half decent level, then it's just it helps more, doesn't it? It helps more.
sorry, my chat on here is going nuts. I'm just trying to put notifications off. Get my head in. Okay, right. Okay. So also, I was going to ask, moving forward, do you have a regular auction that you can go to now? Because there were a couple, weren't there, in your area?
There are loads. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, we don't always go. We go when we feel like we should. Um, when we feel the need, like if we see something that we really like the look of, or um because auctions are great, but I think they're great. I can see us going less whilst the boot fairs are on. um but definitely when the boot fair season's not on, they're really good to have, and there's actually quite a few options. I think we've got auctions for like every day of the week probably, like more or less.
They seem, maybe it's just the area you're in, but up north they seem more common because around here they're really thin on the ground.
Yeah, I noticed that massively. Down south, they're spread out a lot more.
Yeah,
Up here, there seems to be a lot more like of that kind of general household goods auction. But they also have quite a few kind of fine better quality auctions as well, which aren't really any good to me, but they're still options.
yeah. I need to find a good sort of general sale. And it's so frustrating because years ago there was one in Hitchin, like 5 minutes from my house, and that closed down going back a long time, about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was great. They'd sell anything from furniture right the way through to, trading cards and everything in between, like house clearance jump boxes. And it was great. But yeah, they've gone.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like when I go to the auctions, I mean, everyone's different, but I tend to focus on like single items, um, which it's not for everybody because it often means that you're paying up a fair bit. But job lots obviously have the benefit that you can get stuff a lot less. You can get stuff quite cheaply in them, because it is a job lot of things. But whereas I end up focusing, on single items. I'm not sure whether that's a great way to go or not, but I mean it seems to have worked for me. But you do pay up for your items more that way. So I tend to go when I've got a bit more free cash because I know that I'll end up buying, something or other which is going to be substantial amount of money rather than, well, substantial for me anyway.
Someone,
um
someone's just said that you're not allowed two accounts. If they're talking about eBay, I've had multiple accounts for many, many years. So I don't know what they're talking about, unless they're talking about Amazon. Or maybe I've missed
Yeah.
the point there. Silver Pirate sent some books to Music Magpie. I tried some of the books that I had returned, and they weren't worth. They either weren't taking them or they were worth nothing. Like, just it was a waste of time. So yeah.
Tom's just joined the chat as well.
Oh, cool. Hi, Tom.
Yeah. I've noticed a couple of questions. I'm just trying to find them. CNH has got a good question. How do you go about budgeting money made from selling? Is there an amount you put away per month, or do you play it by ear? I'd like to know the answer to that question as well. So if anyone finds out, please let me know, because I'm still working that one out myself. It's just discipline and budget. It's discipline and budgeting, isn't it? Like with anything else.
We've never had a system,
which I'm not good at. So
no, it's not easy because it is up and down naturally, particularly the way we're selling.
Yeah.
You have an abundance in the end of the year, and kind of the beginning and the middle of the year it's okay, but it's very up and down. So we've just kind of played it by ear, really.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're good at budgeting,
what's in the account.
Yeah, if you're good at budgeting, then I think whether you're working for yourself or not, you're good at budgeting, and you'll reap the benefits of that. I've always been pretty bad with money, and I'm still bad with money now. So it doesn't really, it hasn't changed. I am aiming to change it though. That is something I'm working on. But that's, I think it's kind of more of a self-improvement situation, isn't it? Let's have a look.
Apparently there's more tat up north. That's why you've got more auction houses.
There's loads. Yeah,
that's why you went up north. More tat.
Yeah, that's why.
Do you have any tips for first timers to auctions? This is from Indie Chick. We have a local general house clearance and lost property one next month.
Oh yeah.
I would say generally, it's been years since I've been to an auction. Literally, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now.
Nothing's
And
changed.
I would just say get there in plenty of time, because there can be loads of stuff to go through, and then do your research well in advance. What we used to do was take photos, write notes, and go home and research it on eBay. Now with 4G, you can do it while you're there. And then, I don't know what else.
I definitely think that looking at the catalogue is important, because you might think just because you're going to view it early, you're doing the right thing, and you are. But like you said, because there's often so much stuff there, it can be overwhelming, and you'll miss things. And then you'll only see them when they come up for bidding, and you'll be like, oh my god, I didn't see that, and it was there, but you weren't aware. So what I suggest
when you can get in trouble, isn't it? Because if suddenly a lot comes up and you think, oh, I like the look of that, you haven't had time to look at it, research it, you don't know
exactly,
whatever,
and that's when you
get wrapped up in it.
Exactly. So definitely, I'd say in a way it's better to just look at a text catalog, like not ones with photos. So you actually go through it old school and pick out things that interest you, and then when you go to view it, then you know exactly which number to find to view what you're looking at, and never take what's written on the catalog for granted. I'll give you a recent example. I went to an auction where one of the lots was an N64 console. I went there, looked in the carrier bag, and this was luckily an auction that's just in the room only, not online. But if it was online, someone would have probably been very disappointed, because I looked at the carrier bag, and it was one of those dodgy kind of made to look like a Nintendo 64 console. But it was not a Nintendo at all. It was just some, worthless.
And auction houses seem to be able to just get away with murder with that, don't they? Yes. They can kind of say what they want because it's sold on scene, and it's the onus is on you to do,
I've shared a couple of embarrassing buys from me. I mean, I bought the statue that was called, it was called a bronze statue, and I was wondering why it was not getting bid up, and it was because it was really badly painted brown, and that was it. That was the bronze. And then I've also bought art, which turns out to be a page from a calendar.
Oh yeah.
not a print. I thought I was buying a print, and it was actually a calendar torn out and framed. Which, I mean, it's still art, and I didn't pay much, but it was still kind of lesson to learn that you can't you know you
I
have,
would another general tip would be, and how we used to do it was we'd do our research beforehand and we'd write down our maximum price that we're going to go to and then try to stick to that, because if you get involved in the moment with the bidding process and you don't have a limit in mind, you can get swept up in it. So work out what it's worth to you, adding on your margin that you want to make, plus you've got to add in fees. That can get quite complicated. You have to add VAT onto a lot of lots, and the commission price. So find out before you start bidding, find out what all the extra costs are.
I've actually made up spreadsheets for all the different auctions near me. Now, you don't have to go that far, but they're very simple calculating spreadsheets, and I've got them for all the different ones. And the reason is because some auction houses, they all charge the hammer price, which can be 10% to up to 30 something percent in some cases. It can be really random. So they all charge a hammer price. So like a hammer fee or whatever they call it. Some of them will then charge VAT on top, which not all of them do, but some of them will. So you've got to bear that in mind if you're doing that. Then on top of that, if you're bidding online, some of them will have an online fee. So say you've gone and viewed, and then you've decided, rather than stay in an auction house all day, I'm going to come home and list and work and bid online while I'm because that's the sensible thing to do, right? Time is valuable, but you are going to pay extra for that. It can normally, it's like 3 to 5% more, but it's very surprising how things add up. And sometimes people will bid way more than eBay prices. So don't expect things to go cheaply. Use your calculations and work from those. I always have in my head, I mean, especially when I was down south, we were paying some serious fees. Like,
I remember, yeah.
I was paying serious fees, and I knew exactly, I pretty much added like 50 or 60% on top of what the hammer price was in my head, because that's how much the fees added up to. You spent 90, you've really spent like 140, so it's, you've got to bear that in mind.
Have you ever put any lots in to sell on stock that you want to get rid of? Have you ever done it the other way around?
I have done it a couple of times just to get rid of some things recently, but literally just to get rid of some things. Like if you want something gotten rid of, and you really don't care about it, what happens to it, what price you get, that's the only time I've thought about it.
Yeah, because we've got a few bits that we might, if we find a auction place that we want to start going to bid, I might take a few lots and put them in. I don't know. I assume that they take those fees they add on. So when you've done it, is it free for you to put it in? So, and you just take a chance, or is
it wasn't. There's normally a fee to put it in, and then they'll normally give it like 2 runs. So if it doesn't sell 1 week, or they'll run it again. But as long as you're not expecting something unreasonable, chances are it will sell. Whatever it is that it depends obviously if you're willing to take, like, I don't know, 4 quid, depending on where it is. But
a few bits we've ended up with from that mega haul. I've got like I think they're up here. I've got a stack of laptop bags that were just chucked in as a thing, and they're worth nothing on eBay. I can't see me shifting them anywhere else. But
that would be perfect.
Bags at auction. Somebody who's into wholesale, somebody who's got a market stall, they'll snap them up
completely.
So experiment with some of the stock that's just not worth the time and effort to sell on eBay. And a lot of the bits we ended up with from that haul that were chucked in as part of it. I got all those England mugs. I've sold 4 or 5 so far, but
those are exactly the kind of things that people will do. There's a lot of comments coming in. Wow. It's crazy.
Darren says, always bid on what you see, not what you hope is there. Well, yeah, stands to reason. Good advice. Taz says, has anyone been invited to offer prime fulfilled by merchant? Yeah, I had that email. I didn't do anything about it. So yeah, I need to sit down and look at that and work out what that's all about, really. Mhm.
On the other side of it, Reseller Network says some of my best value items I've got are blind bidding. You have to gamble in life sometimes to make money. Sometimes you lose, but most of the time I win. Well, I'd say yeah. Sometimes you do have to take risks. As long as you're aware that you're taking a risk, that's the important thing. As long as you're capable of absorbing whatever the risk costs, then yeah, definitely, I agree with you. Sometimes you can just buy like a random job lot, and you find something that's actually worth more than you thought it was. I've nothing major, but I once bought like I think I can't remember what I bought, but they bundled in. When sometimes they'll bundle the next lot with the previous slot because they think it's rubbish, and it was kind of rubbish. But it turned out that it was these little capsules of inner gas, which wine connoisseurs use to take corks out and replace with another cork, but fill it with a gas to keep it fresh. And
Right.
these yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like an expensive wine system, and it was these little capsules. They look like little gas canisters, and I got the lot for like £2. So because no one wanted it, so I got the previous one and this one locked in with it,
Yeah.
and it turns out that the chucked in stuff was the thing I bought was crap, and I had to bin it because it was broken. And it turned out that the stuff I got chucked in was worth a lot of money. I actually ended up selling these little capsules for like 20 something quid each, and I made like 60 quid out of it. And that was just fluke. It was complete fluke. There was no. So yeah, you can.
Chris Scotts is in the chat. Well, he's just popping out. Hi, Chris, if you're still there. He said he's been at the auction house today, and there's always something wrongly listed. Today there was
Oh
some
yeah.
vintage Gillette razor, but it wasn't Gillette. And Chris has had some amazing success with vintage shaving stuff recently.
I mean, that's the thing. I think, like he just said there, and like you mentioned, Nick, that auction houses seem to just get away with anything, because they just put their disclaimers out. Make sure you know what you're bidding on. Make sure you check the item out. It's sold as seen. That's it. Blah blah. So you've got to be careful. I mean, you'll find fakes there, even though they're not meant to. There will be lots of fake stuff there as well. And once you've bought it, that's it. You agreed that you were going to check it, whatever. So, yeah.
There's a question that's come up that I get asked an awful lot. Supercat 1980 says, "Is it worth buying from wholesalers?" I get on my YouTube channel. I get people asking all the time, "Why don't you just buy wholesale? Why don't you just sell wholesale? What's the point in buying all this secondhand stuff?" And the issue is, I mean, I've had wholesale accounts when I've had retail outlets, and what you will find is the margins you can make are so slim because everybody else has access to that wholesale stuff. And not with everything, but with a lot of it, you'll find there'll already be somebody selling it on Amazon and eBay, if not 2 or 3 people fighting over the sales. So the margins get squeezed to a point where it's not worth doing. And when we used to buy wholesale video games and CDs and DVDs, the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's, HMV could buy in such vast numbers. They could buy it that much cheaper from us. We couldn't compete. And that's the problem. If you go wholesale, you're fighting against big business. So,
And I think one other thing I'd say as well is, why did you get into this? What's your motivation? I don't want to sound like oh, what's your motivation? Like an actor or something. But what is, seriously, you have to ask that. Like, I know you're quite happy to do RA, like, and to me, I think it just bores me, the idea of just having lots of the same thing, just labeling it to send it. It just does nothing for me, and I didn't take this lifestyle for that reason. For me, nothing beats the buzz of tat, of junk, of actually going and finding a real bargain, or like it doesn't. I mean, when I say tat, it doesn't actually mean real junk. I mean like just finding an actual bargain, finding a steal, finding a really great price. Nothing beats that buzz for me. So,
I think
even. even though it means that the stock is sporadic. I've got no guarantee of what I'm gonna find. I've got no guarantee of when I'm gonna find it. I've got no guarantee of how much I'm gonna find. You know, you sometimes go out and like today I popped into my charity shops. All I got was a big mouth Billy Bass,
Hey,
but it cost me £2. You know,
no,
and I'm gonna get like what 20 for it. I don't know, but
yeah, I think I got 20 in the last one.
yeah.
Actually,
So it's what are you in it for? So
I do
that's
get that, but I think for me that I get the same thrill out of picking up a load of this stuff that I might double my money on as I do picking up a second-hand whatever it is and getting 10 times my money on. I think also part of the thrill of doing RA for me is getting one over on big business. You know what I mean? It's making money.
you've got issues, Nick. So you're getting one over. You've got issues.
No, but you know what I mean? There's a thrill in that, isn't there? Walking into a superstore and
Yeah,
walking out knowing that I'm going to make more profit than it's actually priced at in the shop. You
yeah,
see what I mean? It's like
yeah.
there's a thrill in that, and that's all part of the chase for me. I get the same thrill out of going out hunting for RA, clearing a shelf, as I do legging it around the boot sale, getting to the bargains before the other resellers. It's the same chase for me.
See, that's the thing. As long as it's what excites you, that's the thing, isn't it? So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
if
I wouldn't be in Tesco's at 2 a.m. if I wasn't getting a thrill out of it.
well, yeah, exactly. That's a thrill in itself. You know, going out again. It's like hunting. You hunt for the stock, don't you? So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a buzz. It's
yeah.
a different ball game, but yeah, I enjoy the RA as you
But
know.
yeah, if I had a buzz for it, I would do it. I mean, you know, but I think that's why I haven't really, you know, because when I've done it, I have tried it. I've not enjoyed it. I've just not gotten the buzz out of it. You know, I did some for Amazon, and like, you know, we sold a fair few of this item, and it wasn't fun. It was boring. You know, the sales were coming in on it. Like, I think I bought 40 something of this toy, and it sold really quickly, and the sales were coming in. And it didn't feel like they were coming in. Maybe because there was no ka-ching sound, or maybe it's because it was a small margin. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't fun for me. So even when I do FBA, I kind of want to do FBA, you know, by thrifting or whatever you call it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's cool. Chris has just echoed what you've said. I think I've lost it now. He's coming at it from the same angle as you. I've lost.
Yeah, I've just seen. Totally agree. RA, PL, wholesale have no buzz for me.
Yeah,
Just have no buzz. Yeah,
exactly, and that's cool. I mean, we all have to work out what we enjoy and what we want to do. And for me, it all comes under the same umbrella of making, of creating money out of thin air. I see it as almost like a magic act. It's like I can pick this up from over here and I can pass it on to its new owner over there, and I keep 20 quid in the middle. It's like, woohoo!
yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
really bother to me how I achieve that. You see what I mean? I just see it as passing on stuff and whatever the
Completely.
stuff is. But I do agree. There's certain things. I mean, for me, it's still a lot about video games and retro gear, 1980s toys. There is a purer buzz from that because it's exciting. The actual product is exciting. The actual what it is, I couldn't give a shit what it is, but I know I can double my money next year.
I mean, I think it is the rarity of things, isn't it? I mean, I'm just shipping this off. This is my
Oh yeah.
buzz.
Is the envelope quite big enough for that? Do you think?
Yeah, the envelope is that's the envelope it's gonna go in. Yeah, but yeah, 35 quid for that. I was like, yeah, it's like
That is
wow.
awesome.
I'm very happy with that. But so it's just, you know,
Per grand,
33 people watching.
Oh yeah! Wow.
133 people.
33. I don't know what our record is for a Tuesday chat now.
That is insane.
If you appreciate what we do, hanging out and chatting, give us a little thumbs up. We're on 54 at the moment.
You gotta smash the like button, guys. You gotta smash it.
Show us the love. We're nearly pushing. Oh, we've just gone past an hour, and I know you've got things.
It's okay. It hasn't happened. I just checked. It's not turned up.
What's not turned up?
The Sims vampire.
Oh,
My daughter is a big Sims 4 fan, and she's been waiting for this expansion pack, this game pack, and it's still not there, so she's not going to be happy.
oh, are they not downloads though?
They are, but it's not on the store.
Oh, oh, okay.
Yeah, the vampire
Oh,
expansion pack still says coming soon.
she'll be disappointed.
She will be, but then she can't. But at the same time, she's not going to be mad at me for hogging the computer either. So,
Oh, you've gone all crackly again.
oh, hold on.
Right, what's going on in here? Graham's off to bed early. See you later, Graham. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, am I back?
Mike says Zahir and Nick are modern day pirates looking for treasure. I'll take that. I've been called a lot worse.
Okay, George asks, new at reselling, only started reselling last year and have had some rude people when they find out I'm reselling. Have you ever had the same thing? Oh, you've got stories for that, Nick.
Yeah, a couple of times. There was one, I've documented the recent ones in videos, when we were shouted at by some arrogant bloke at a jumble sale because I was looking things up on eBay. And it was just, his argument was ridiculous because he actually said to us, you are taking from this charity. And I was like, no, I was going to pay the asking price, same as anyone else would.
Yeah.
And he just didn't have anywhere to go, so he just started hurling abuse. And Andrew and I stood there like just dumbfounded, like what do you say to this? I'm just like,
yeah. Some people just don't, it's the kind of people that would, it's the same mentality that is like where supermarkets throw away food rather than give it to someone. They'd rather destroy something, or when people, when shops destroy items rather than, sell them really, really cheap or below cost or whatever, they'd rather destroy it so no one benefits. It's the same mentality, really, isn't it?
So reselling is just trading. It's trading exactly the same as anybody else trades. A farmer, he gets eggs from his chickens, they cost him naffle, and he sells them to Tesco's at X amount of pence each. All we are doing is buying a thing here and passing it on to here and taking something in the middle. It's trading in its purest form, and it's all any retail outlet does. It's all any service provider does, really, as well. So I don't know where the aggression and the anger comes from in some people, but yeah, it is out there. To be honest, in the amount of years I've been doing this, I've probably had 3 or 4 incidents of it. So
which is not bad, is it?
So I think he's been unlucky within, he's new last year and he's had a few people already. So
yeah,
don't let it put you off. Yeah, just be happy that you're not doing anything wrong. You're just trying to earn money like everyone else does.
Yeah, they either want your money or they don't want it. I mean, if your money's not good enough for them, move on and you'll find someone else that will happily take your money. It is a ridiculous state of affairs that people have got that attitude. I think and the worst part about it is that in the chances are people that have got that attitude, it's more out of selfishness, because it's not like they were going to pay more for the item that you were going to pay. They wanted to pay the same amount that you wanted to pay. It's just they're upset that you got it. Just like when you get people crying on YouTube about, oh, I can't get Nintendo games anymore because other people wake up earlier than me and walk faster than me and look harder than me and get them before me, and I'm upset, so I'm gonna cry about it. It's like it's the same attitude.
Well, there's the other argument that kind of rumbles along in the background of collectors versus resellers. And to be honest, I understand that argument more, because that's about, we are taking items out of the boot sales and out of the
I actually have less sympathy for that, Nick, because
I get their point of view. I don't sympathize with it. I get the argument.
I don't, because they often resell. I think Ben's a perfect example of it.
Well, except he's honest. They're hypocritical idiots.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, that is for me the kind of paramount of hypocrisy, because you're actually talking about, some reselling is somehow morally better or superior than other reselling. I mean, that's just, come on. I mean, have a
No,
lobotomy or
I'm with
something.
you there.
You know,
I
just do
get
us
that
a favor.
argument that
Just,
if you're a
yeah.
collector and you go out to a car boot sale and you
Sometimes morally you deserve it. Like,
yeah,
where? On what planet? If anything, we're doing a better favor because we're willing to ship it to that poor guy that lives in the outback in Australia and is desperate for that title. And guess what? He's willing to pay 10 times what you pay for it. So
yeah. No,
who's
I'm
the
on the
real
same page.
hero?
I'm on the same page.
Yeah,
I understand the market from someone who just goes out trying to find that particular Sylvanian family. And then there's me, I just buy the whole store. I get in that instance why he would be pissed off.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's still just luck of the draw. And if you'd have been there
yeah,
for 10 minutes earlier, you could have had the lot. So it's just,
exactly,
it is what it is.
exactly.
Nickens are here. When does car boot season start? Well, there's actually one or two that go pretty much all year round around here, but they are so lame when it's cold. I don't bother. But it kind of kicks in spring, really, for me, when the weather improves. And there's a few to me that are on soft ground, so they kick off in spring.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's nothing going on here, I think, until I think until a bit later on. I think it's April or March as well around here. I did go to one which was meant to be an indoor boot sale. Um, and it was just, yeah, it was a waste of time. It was a complete waste of time.
Oh,
It,
I remember you saying you were going to that.
yeah, I was really excited because it was like in a school. I'd never been to it. It was like in a school hall, and they were like no traders, to in terms of selling. So I thought, oh yeah, hopefully it'll be decent. And obviously, just because it says that doesn't mean it. And it was pretty much people selling like, really.
Sometimes they are the best. I've been to some tiny little school hall ones
Yeah,
where the parents of the kids in the school genuinely turn up and they've cleared their children's bedrooms out of the old crap,
yeah,
and you just
yeah,
get stall after stall with old DSs and
yeah.
video games and old
Luck
toys.
of the draw. But that's just it. I mean, I've had some of my best pickups when it's like one line of cars because, like you said, overall there's going to be less competition. People get put off because I remember down south, especially during the winter, I used to go to this boot fair on a hard standing car park, and it was very inconsistent. I mean, really inconsistent. And sometimes I would drive the 40 minutes to get there. I'd walk around and there'd be nothing. There'd be look 5 cars and there'd be nothing. But the very next week, the same 5 or 6 cars. But one boot fair, I got a NES for 20 quid. I got a ZX Spectrum for 2 quid. I got
Yeah.
exactly, and there was no one there to fight me for it. Yeah, it was just there.
You just
Mm.
can't predict, and that's the one of the excitements of it, isn't it? Because you literally drive to this place and you have no clue what you're looking for. You have no clue what you're going to
What you're gonna
find,
Yeah.
and it's like I love that. I love that element of it, and the best bit for me, I think, of going boot sailing is coming home, unloading the car, and going through it. Do you love that bit?
Yeah.
I love getting it home and then
Totally, yeah.
being
Beck
excited.
hates it because I kind of go for the spread it out all over the place method. So I have stuff around, and Beck hates it because then she's just like, oh my, it bothers her the way I do things sometimes.
I
That's
make it.
definitely something. But in a way, if you can learn to embrace that side of things, um, then it's something that can benefit you in charity shops and in auctions as well. Like, I get the feeling sometimes, especially when it comes to auctions, that sometimes people think it's like a silver bullet situation, just like they think with boot fairs or jumble sales. Like, sometimes people are really into it. I think recently there was a lady that had a horrible experience at a jumble sale, and it like put her off going again. And everyone was really supportive in the Facebook group, and they were saying, like, you can't just give up after that, go again, because one experience is no indication of what your next week one's going to be like. And it's
No.
the same with auctions, because just because you went to an auction one time and there was amazing lots going for no money doesn't mean that the very same auction next week is just going to be full of crud. Not
Yeah.
only is it going to be full of crud, it's going to go sky high prices that you're not going to understand who's paying for this stuff.
You
Um,
almost have to go
mm,
expecting it to be crap, because
mm,
then whatever you get is a bonus. You know what I mean? But you're absolutely right about one experience shouldn't put you off, because like when I said about the guy that was screaming his head off at us because we were, you know, scummy resellers. And we went to the next jumble sale. They have them every 3 or 4 months. We went to the next one, and everyone was as nice as pie. We were doing exactly the same thing, buying the same volumes of stuff and looking up stuff on our phone, and you know, nothing happened, and everyone was lovely. So
yeah.
it's, yeah, you can't tar everyone with the same brush.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Big Nick reckons that Beck should be given a medal for looking after me. She thinks that as well. I think Big Nick. So yeah, um, I can't blame him.
Mike's put a lovely comment in, actually. I think sums it up quite well. Mike Latois says, reselling is a wonderful thing to do. It's a service. You are taking stuff that normally ends up in a landfill and rehoming it. It's like every time you sell something, you save a turtle from drowning.
Exactly, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think that's even more so the case now, with more people than ever being knowledgeable about the value of things. I mean, you know, as long as you're not arguing about the price, as long as you're not, you know, obviously sometimes you hear these horrible stories where dealers intimidate old ladies or women, and will literally bring people to tears at boot fairs or whatever, because there's just being aggressive and trying to knock the price down. That is abhorrent behavior, you know, whether you're a dealer or not, isn't it? That's just horrible stuff. And that sometimes that's not, if you're not doing that, then you know there really isn't anything to worry about.
Someone's asked, Problem Solved said, have you ever missed a score because you had to research something? I'll always remember Schofield brand, because I could have got a jacket for £4 that sells for 100, but someone got it before me. What I have done, and this is frustrating, I've gone up to a stall and my focus has been led to the media, because that's kind of, it's in the front of my mind. I love buying and selling media. So I'm flicking through and it ended up a load of rubbish titles. And while I was doing that, my eye hadn't seen whatever it was at the end of the store, and somebody just waltzes up, picks up whatever it is, and gets it for an absolute bargain. And I'm left with a handful of crappy PS2 titles that I don't want. So yeah, I've seen. It's frustrating when you see stuff go from under your nose because you're busy looking at rubbish.
I actually had a moment of that, Nick, where it's actually someone that watches the videos as well, and I met them at the boot fair, and a lovely guy. But I had a rare moment of indecisiveness. I'd walked down an aisle and I'd seen something. I think it was like some kind of a baby monitor or something. I think the lady was asking 20 quid, and I think I was just a bit, oh, I'm not sure. And I went to the next aisle and I said to Beck, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I know I'll regret it otherwise. And I went back and obviously it had gone. And I
Yeah.
think it turned out that someone had picked it up afterwards, like, you know, and I think they watched video, but you know, it does happen, and it will probably happen again at some point, for various reasons. Like you said, either research, or you're just, like you said, your eyes normally go straight for media. It's natural, isn't it?
And you can't look at everything. We try to. We've all got that kind of scanner stall kind of robot look, but
Yeah.
you can't take it all in.
No, you think you are. Yeah. I mean,
So and we've all had it where somebody just reaches across, and at the moment you see it. You see whatever it is, like a Game and Watch or something. And you're like, no, and this hand comes in and grabs it.
yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I think like once like Beck always moans at me for walking too fast to the boot fairs, right? She likes to take like the slow and steady approach and look at the stalls. And there's me that are doing, like you said, the scanning thing. And once I think I said, okay, tell you what, walk slowly. And the funny thing is, even though part of me was itching to get ahead and I was thinking, oh, people are getting all the stuff, but I actually found as good stuff just by taking my time. Um, and it was actually funny because in one of the early aisles that none of the dealers were in because they assumed it was all ravaged. Because I was taking my time and looking through things, I actually found a Mewtwo. Um, I found and not only that, I found a few other nice bits that I couldn't believe were there because
Yeah.
they should have gone. I mean,
My logic's always been that I try and get round once really quick because I know there's a certain list of items that will just fly off the stalls. And if you don't go around, you stand no chance of getting those. So I still think it's worth doing that quick whiz to see if there is any Lego, see if there is any Playmobil, whatever your sort of top 10 items you naturally gravitate towards are there. The point is that all the other resellers would pick up, or the general public. You know what I mean? And then I go around again and do a slow, steady, and look.
That's your logic. But see,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, you could just without having to get. I mean, I look there. Adam Incredible actually says here, I 100% bought that baby monitor, paid 20 for it, sold it for 80-ish. Yeah. See, that's.
Wow.
You might have been Adam Incredible there. Adam Incredible there.
I just saw. Well, we'll take a couple of more questions and then we'll wrap it up because we've been going a long time now.
Yeah. 134 people. By the way, can I just say there's 134 people watching and we've got 77 thumbs up, which is just
I forgot to check how much that went
fantastic.
Up.
Yeah. 100. Really appreciate it, guys. It is lovely.
I'm glad that people actually enjoy these hangouts. We do very little preparation, to be fair, but it's enjoyable for us. So
what are you talking about, Nick? This is well oiled, organized. This is.
I've lost the question now. Somebody was asking me, would I consider taking on an employee to help in my business? The quick answer to that is no. I have had employees in the past when I've had retail outlets, but it's just not necessary for what I do now.
Yeah, Reseller Network asked that. Black Chat
GCG
will say Singapore for you. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying Singapore to prove it's live.
Oh yeah, I see that going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd say it. David McGregor said Singapore as well.
We're very much alive and live.
Yeah, live.
Vinny says, hang on. Vinny says, I'm convinced some car booters hold better stuff back, so resellers don't get it. You can walk around once, and the second time, all this cool stuff appears. Yeah, that would explain some. I've had some really random finds at the end of car boot sales. I remember I showed in a video going way back a couple of years that I turned up to my local one in Hitchin, the one you and I went to here, at probably at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock when there was like hardly anyone left. They were chucking the stuff back in the cars, and there was a Tomitronic with the strap, wonderful condition, just sat in the middle of a stall. And because it was still there, I assumed he was going to say 20 quid or something. I went up and it was like £2.50 or something silly like that. I was like, how is that still there? How is that still sat there? And then I sold it really quick for I think 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does happen. I completely agree with you because I had a similar situation where down south, I mean, it was brutal at the boot fair I used to go to. I mean, it was like, it was a lot of competition, to put it lightly. And I remember this quite clearly because it was just so funny. There was the usual guys, in their gangs going from car to car asking if there were any video games. And I was just kind of hanging back, doing my own thing, just trying to take it easy, not to get involved in the whole. Because I sometimes find that at boot fairs, you can end up at up to date, as it were, at the last car, and then you're just wasting time waiting for cars to arrive or to set up, whilst you could be looking through the aisles that are already set up. But because the greed gets hold of you, and you're like, oh, I've got to get to the new cars, and it's like mob mentality, isn't it? And sometimes I'm never in the mob, but I'm always like around the mob.
Yeah, I try and purposefully stay away because they're like reseller magnets. So my logic there is, if this new car is the reseller magnet, there's
Then
none on that other oil.
and the thing is, it was funny because this guy was like, this car pulled up. Have you got any games? And nothing. And I walked past the stall as they were setting up, and they put out blatantly like a couple of Nintendo DSs. They had some DAB radios, and they sold me the DSs for like £2. The DAB radio for nothing. And I think they probably knew that I was a reseller because I spent like 40 quid with them in total because I was just buying everything they had. Literally, it was like, but I think it was just the fact that they appreciated that I was just someone that walked up to their stall as they were kind of settled, rather than being pounced on. So some sellers definitely have methods, and you've got to remember, just like we're a big information resource for resellers, if you've ever tried to, or thought about setting up a car boot stall, if you go onto like Mum's Net or wherever, or these other websites, or Money Saving Expert, plenty of people post up, oh, I'm thinking of doing a boot sale. Have you got any tips? And they will get tips on the best, safest way for them to do a boot sale if they're new. So they've got experienced boot sellers telling them, do this, do that, obviously because they want to avoid getting robbed, because people unfortunately think it's great to steal from people at boot fairs, and and so just like we're a resource for buying, there's a balance.
Yeah, it's so easy for the guys who go around in that, they're like teams, and they're looking for gold, they're looking for phones, whatever. I swear that a lot of theft goes on with them, because you see them distracting the store. It's so easy to do at a boot sale, because quite often there's one person, maybe it's a couple, and all one of them does is distract the attention, and the other guys just have a field day. I've seen some really big arguments going on where people have seen theft happen, and other punters spot it, and then it all kicks off. But it's rife. It really is. It's horrific.
It is.
Right. So let's take one more question, and we'll wrap up. Question: this is Darren. Why isn't Monty's name in your YouTube channel name changed? Well, somebody actually suggested recently he should have his own channel, so maybe he should have his own channel. I need to thank Darren actually for being the moderator in the chat. It's just there because if people write something offensive or something out of turn, that we don't want abusive language or whatever, he's just there to keep control of that. So thanks, Darren. Appreciate your efforts. And on that note, that was cool for a non-prepared random Tat Chat. That was pretty good. We covered a few subjects.
We did. And thank you for everyone. There's 138 people watching now, and we've got nearly 90 thumbs up. So people have been smashing that like button like there's no tomorrow, and it's appreciated. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great.
Wow,
it's been a really busy chat. I hope we answered a few questions and you guys enjoyed it. It's been fun. I've enjoyed chatting with you here as ever.
As usual, yeah, definitely.
And we'll check in again next week. I don't have a guest lined up, but we'll hopefully sort something out. So yeah, see you next week, 6 o'clock on Tuesday for more Tat Chat. Thanks for here.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.